Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be discussing my Red Mage build for the game Stranger of Sword City. For anyone who hears the name Red Mage and confused by it, that's just the name of the build, not the name of a class that is in Stranger of Sword City. So the combination of the classes that I'm going to lay out are what I'm referring to when I say Red Mage. With that out of the way, let's get started. As with all of my builds, I highly recommend that the first thing you do is get your first class to at least level 30. There's lots of different reasons for this, but the main one here is that you want to make sure that your red mage has the most MP possible. So you definitely want to get them pretty high level before making that first class change. Honestly, if you go even higher, then you get more benefits out of this, but for the sake of not spending 100 hours grinding a single character, I recommend about level 30. The two options that are available that are both equally valid are cleric and wizard. So if you want to start your red mage as a cleric, that's fine. I started mine as a wizard. The results will end up pretty much the same. The main difference is that if you start as a cleric, then you could fit in another class if you wanted than the ones you're going to see here. But most of these builds I came up with as I was playing the game. They weren't planned out ahead of time, so that's why you're gonna see a lot of kind of inconsistencies in what I'm saying, just because none of these builds include optimized characters. They are the characters that I had work with, and that's pretty evident in the stat distribution. So for my wizard, you can see I focused on intelligence, piety, and then tried to put some points in vitality and dexterity. Main reason being that we mostly just want a lot of MP and we want our spells to hit hard. Survivability is nice, but since this is a back row unit and you'll most likely have characters drawing attacks in the front, it's not of vital importance to get your wizard or cleric to have as much vitality as possible. Going through these skills here, you can see that the reason we end with wizard, so we always have access to the enhanced magic and master cast abilities. At the same time, we have access to all of our wizard spells. The quantity of spells is really what makes the wizard shine. You can instead aim for cleric, but I don't think that the outcome will be as good for this particular build. The reason being that there are certain items that can only be worn by certain classes, and I don't know what the criteria is as far as how they were identified to be this way, but there won't be any markings on the item that say that only a certain class can wear a certain item. So you might go, oh, this is a great weapon for this caster. Let me just put on the requisite weapon soul skill so that they can equip it, and they won't be able to because it's actually class bound instead of stat or weapon category bound. There aren't many weapons like that, but they do exist. So after getting my wizard to level 30, I performed my first class change into ninja. The reason I did this was to get evade training, because I thought, oh, I would like to make this character capable of avoiding attacks at some point. And then very obvious mistake occurred to me that my end goal with this character was going to be that they were going to be fully equipped to have the most magic enhancement possible, which means that evade training is only half as effective as it would be, meaning that in endgame it's not effective at all. So I don't recommend taking ninja. Like honestly, maybe if you want cicada shell to occasionally avoid damage, but evade training is not going to do what you'd want it to do. So for that one, you could just do another set of wizard. Well, no, you couldn't do wizard unless you started with cleric. But yeah, like I'd probably just go wizard straight into cleric. That'll save you some time. So going into cleric, the skills we want here are learn holy 2 and 3. And the reason for these two specifically is that we want our red mage to be able to heal when needed and to be able to assist in buffs. But we don't really need like the learn holy 1 spells, or also getting holy soul very useful for avoiding statuses. We won't be picking up any gear souls from this one. None of that's necessary. You can take the cleric spell enhancing passive, but it's not necessary. After cleric, I moved into dancer for weapon trick morale song. When I did this, I hadn't had a dancer in my party, so I thought morale song could be useful. I later learned it was not. Morale song, for the most part, will improve your morale by a few points, but it could also decrease it. Whereas just having your characters attack every round builds up your morale really fast. So I don't even know the reason morale song exists. I'm sorry, sword song. And weapon trick. The original thought, the reason that I would call it Red Mage is that I was thinking of the Final Fantasy style of Red Mage where they can cast black and white magic and attack. But once I got to the point where I had all of the skills for the build and I tried out that idea, I realized that wands actually do really bad damage. Yeah, they are not worth using as your damage source. They're good for increasing the amount of damage you do with magic, and that's pretty much it. There are no really good caster weapons if you want a caster to be able to attack, which is unfortunate. For that reason, only take weapon trick if you plan on occasionally having your red mage equip a different weapon that doesn't involve their magic stat. After dancer, we took samurai. Main reason for this was just to get the extra skill slot at 13 and to get the dual wield passive. The reason for the dual wield passive is so we can just dual wield wands. This makes it that our spell enhance gets further upgraded, and as a wizard you want your spell enhancement to be as high as possible. And after samurai we go back into wizard. Like I said, for any of these past choices that you don't feel are necessary for what you want to do, feel free to double up on any of the ones that you do think work. So if you want to go instead of wizard, ninja, cleric, dancer, samurai, wizard, you want to go wizard, cleric, samurai, wizard, you'll get pretty much the same benefit because ninja and dancer really don't attribute anything to this build. Now we'll look at our gear loadout. See, dual wielding the best wands that I have, which stat wise the wands are pretty terrible, but if we look at our weapon details, you see that we have that spell enhance. So that's what we're looking at when we are looking for weapons for this class. We want to equip the weapons that have the best spell enhance on them, and that's always going to be wands. There are a few exceptions to that, but they're unique items and you need to get them at very high level, so they aren't exactly something worth recommending. So I just say, you are going to come across wands, so when you do, just look for the wands that have the best spell enhance, and those will be your wizard weapon. Armor, once again, we're just looking for anything that has spell enhance on it. If you can't find anything with spell enhance, then just pick any armor that has the best defensive bonuses that you believe would actually help your wizard until you find something that actually does improve their spell enhance. For a helmet, same thing. Whoever has the most spell enhance, and if it doesn't, then just whoever has the best defensive stats. Underwear, same thing. A ring, once I got the best ring for my main character, I gave this ring to my red mage because it had the best spell enhance on it, as opposed to just wearing like an intelligence ring, which is a great choice before a point where you don't want to hand off that really good accessory from your main character. And let's see this character in action. A major utility of this character is that they can cast both holy and magic weapon, which means that any spirits, any undead, anything that is resistant to non-magical attacks, this character can easily make your entire party fully effective, regardless of the scenario. I highly recommend always having at least one character that has one of these, preferably both. So at the very least, one character that has holy weapon, one character that has magic weapon. A great way of using the master casting skill, while of course you could use it to deal damage with all of the spell enhancement you stacked up. A much more effective use is actually just to buff your party. So with multi-hit, multi-evade, you can just triple cast it on the whole party and get great benefits out of it. So instead of starting with 20 evasion, now this character has around 40 evasion. Instead of standard 30 to 40 hit, now these characters have around 60 to hit. So that it makes a big difference, and it's definitely something I recommend doing in any boss fight. Then of course, once all your party are fully buffed and you know that they're capable of effectively attacking enemies, then that's when you want to start breaking out the big spells and assisting with damage. While I don't completely recommend it, something that can get you out of a lot of bad situations is master casting the ultimate magic from Wizard. You'll take a huge hit from your MP by doing this, but it can get you out of some really bad situations. For the most part though, I recommend using Tribal, since that attacks with 3 different types of magic and you're casting it twice, so it's essentially throwing out 9 spells in a single round of combat, which is pretty great. And it's also good for helping you recognize what an enemy's weaknesses are, which is always good to know. So that's it for this build guide. I hope that as you're playing through Stranger Sword City, consider putting this class together. It is incredibly great utility. It's one of the builds that was most important in my playthrough, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.